Now, Nigel Farage has broken his silence regarding the ongoing civil war within Reform UK. Speaking about an hour ago, the Reform leader had this to say.
When we found out one of our MPs was facing these accusations, without prejudging anything, we decided to appoint an independent KC to have a look at the situation ourselves. Since that moment, things have got a little bit out of control. Look, there is a behavioural problem here. There has been a behavioural problem for some months. Outbursts, anger, that kind of thing. Frankly, I've tried to put it all to the back of my mind. We've all tried to put it to the back of our minds. And as I say, I'm not prejudging anything on these allegations of a bullying culture going on in his offices. But I put it to you, any party who had a senior figure that was facing those accusations would have to act in some way.
So Mr Farage breaks his silence. And I'm joined now in the studio to discuss this by Mike Tapp, the Labour MP for Dover and Deal, and the former spokesman for Reform UK, Gawain Towler. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Gawain, understandably, I'm going to start with you first tonight. Now, you know Nigel Farage, you've known him for many years. Yep. Rupert Lowe, likewise, you've known for many years. It's fair to say a lot of people expressing their discomfort, shall we say, about what has become a very public battle of words. Mr Farage has spoken back tonight, perhaps had to, considering the social media allegations flying about. What's your take on this most, how should you say, uncivil of civil wars?
It's certainly unseemly. I think all civil wars are uncivil, frankly. Basically, if you have dirty linen, and we've all got dirty linen, you generally wash it in private. And what seems to have happened in this new sort of everything hang out internet world, everything has to be done in public. And I wish that weren't the case. If there are investigations taking place, they should take place, and the results, we find out the results before we go through everything else. But, I mean, Nigel obviously has a good point, that if there are allegations being made, we've seen it with other parties. They're brushed under the carpet, and when it finally comes out, it's far, far worse. So, because then you have allegations of hiding claims, hiding things. So, to go out and say we must do a proper investigation, I can see the sense in that, because you're not trying to hide things, and that has been a problem for all political parties in the past. These things have been done underhand. I'm just very sad. There are millions of people out there looking to reform, to come and change the situation here, to improve matters in the country, and what they see is an unseemly spat. So I'm very disappointed. We've got hundreds of thousands of members. We've got people out campaigning every single day. I see them, I talk to them. They are a little bit disheartened. It doesn't stop them, interestingly. They're still going out there and doing the knocking on doors and so on and so forth. So, but it is disheartening, of course it is.
I want to ask you, before I come to you, Mr Tapp, I want to ask you about something else happened today, and that is Mike Amesbury, of course, the Runcorn Rocky, as he's been called. He said to the BBC, again, only a couple of hours ago, he intends to stand aside as soon as is possible. That, surely as night follows day, will entail a by-election coming up, a by-election that many people fancied Reform could have a good nibble at. They came second in the general election. Might this current contretemps amongst Reform MPs impact that?
It was always a massive hill to climb. I think Labour got 53% and Reform was second on 18. That's a huge hill. That's a mountain. So it's put a couple of yards on the top of that mountain, quite possibly. But I know that, we've got teams out there, they're working really hard. Let's see what happens. But it can't help.
Mike Tapp, Labour MP, Dover and Deal. Let's bring you in now. Every political party has fallouts. Every political party has big personalities. Labour Party, you know, good heavens, has had its fair share of ding-dongs over the years. What's your take on what's happened recently with Reform?
To be quite honest with you, Martin, it's not something that's occupied much of my time or thoughts. It's obviously open warfare from Reform, but I'm concentrated on what Keir's doing to try and keep this country safe when we're looking at Ukraine and Europe. I'm concentrated on the crime and policing bill that's being debated in Parliament today. That's really important.
I asked you a question
I'm on the
about
committee
Reform.
bill.
Don't start banging on about Ukraine.
I genuinely think this is important. I'm on the committee bill for the Immigration and Borders bill, where there's some important amendments to put in tomorrow to try and bring down those numbers. So that's what I'm focused on. Look, Reform can fight it out in public. If I have to have an opinion on it, then I'll go a bit further and say that, if he can't keep 5 MPs together, then how could he ever lead the country?
Or you could say that perhaps swift and decisive action to deal with an internal wrangle is also a good issue. We've seen in the past, for example, it took a long time to expel people from the Labour Party historically.
Well, look, Labour, when there's a disciplinary issue, has acted very quickly, particularly under Keir Starmer. And we've also got to remember how he came in as the leader of the opposition and completely turned around the Labour Party by cleaning it up from anti-Semitism that we had under Jeremy Corbyn. So that was very strong leadership, but that was all behind closed doors, and now he's leading as that statesman on the international stage, and we're in really delicate moments. So I have to be completely honest, that is what is occupying my thoughts at this time, not the reform dramas that we're seeing.
Okay, I'll ask you then about the impending, it seems, by-election in Runcorn. One of your previous men, Mike Amesbury, literally put a voter to the canvas. The Runcorn Rocky, they're calling him. To be fair to the Labour Party, he was swiftly expelled for that. Do you think that's damaged the Labour Party brand in Runcorn? It's not a good look to go around clumping voters, is it?
Violence should be nowhere near politics. He was dealt with swiftly, and it's the right thing that he is standing down, and look forward to the by-election where I'm sure will return a very capable Labour MP.
And how by-elections, of course, are unique in as far as it's one event at a time. There's a lot of money goes into them, a lot of activists go into them. I'm assuming the Labour Party will throw the kitchen sink at this seat to try and keep it.
Given the timing, it may well be that this is in line with the May elections, the local elections. I'm not sure what they've got up there in honesty, but of course we'll throw assets at that to ensure that we do win and have a Labour MP there, because that's what the people there deserve.
Gawain Towler, there is this issue now of motivating a base that have taken a bit of a dink on the chin.
I've been talking to people all over the country over the last couple of days, and they're out working and campaigning as much as they were last week. They are annoyed, without doubt, but they're out doing it because they understand the party reform is not just about 5 MPs. It's not just about Nigel. It's not just about Rupert. It's not just about anybody else. It's about the 219,000 members. It's about this spread across the country. It's about the millions who look to us to provide a voice for who currently has been ignored and ignored and ignored. And we look at what people call the uni party and say, well, there does need to be a change. And so it's a question of the people at the top coming together, talking it through, sorting it out, and then going back and representing those millions who need that representation, who are not represented by the main parties.
Do you think even as recently, perhaps, as Friday evening, there may have been an opportunity to break the bread, to sort this one out behind closed doors? But it's part of the problem, a lot of people have been saying, the fact it's been done so publicly.
Well, obviously, a statement was made, a press release was sent out. It was done publicly. But equally, the timelines are not entirely clear. I do believe that the article that was the interview given with the Mail was precipitated by, and it looks like that was Rupert getting his sort of revenge in first, because he was aware of these investigations going on beforehand, obviously, because they'd gone to his office to talk. And so I don't know what the timelines are in perfection. I don't, and it just seemed to be he said, she said a bit.
Gawain, you've been around for a long time. You've seen dramas come and you've seen dramas go. Is this just another one of those mini dramas, another blip?
Personally, yes, I think so.
And the truck will motor on?
I absolutely think so. Each time there's this sort of thing may crop up, and Farage and the political vehicle with which we work has got stronger each and every time. So am I concerned? Not really. I wish it weren't the case. Of course I do. And now good people are annoyed. But I'd like to point out one of the interesting things is they've got the membership ticker, the infamous Reform membership ticker, showing that we'd overtaken the Tories and so on and so forth. It has shown a couple of hundred people have resigned over the weekend. But what's actually quite delightful is the fact that the party is transparent. It shows it. We know absolutely clearly that some people have left. But we don't try and hide that. I love that about the party, that they are being honest, they are being open. And that is, I think, tantamount to what the party's trying to do, the transparency, doing things differently.
Okay.
And this, though it's unedifying is exactly that. It's trying to do things differently, being transparent.
Good. I think it was fair to say we had to mention this topic tonight. Of course, Mr. Farage spoke out publicly there, so it would have been remiss of us not to address the issue. Mike Tapp, thank you very much. Gawain Taylor,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.